Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 23 of season 2 of the F124 driver career mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Qatar Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Vegas, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. Just as we were starting to lose all hope towards the end of this season, we had an absolute breakthrough result around Formula One's newest venue there. We're back into P7 overall in the championship. P7 is, you know, barring a miracle, the best we're going to be able to get in the championship. Now the goal is to try and not lose out 10 points or more to Fernando Alonso across these last 2 weekends. I'd love to still believe we can beat Aston Martin, but again, I think we're going to need a little bit of a miracle between now and the end of the year. Max Verstappen is now officially, mathematically, your Formula 1 World Champion as well. Red Bull are officially, mathematically, your Constructors World Champions as well there. So, yeah, looking at the Constructors, it is probably us versus Aston Martin. Either that or Alpine versus VCarb that is the closest fight towards the end of the year. Like I said, yeah, we've still got to work out trying to defend from those 3 drivers behind us in the drivers' table as well. But as we return to Qatar, though, this weekend, just starting to get a little bit nervous that I think we're actually going to need some new engine components. So, yeah, we're likely going to have to start the race from the rear of the field. We'll go like that, though. Yeah, we should be... Well, we may as well take a new gearbox as well, as we've still got one in the pool. So, sprint is going to be normal. Grand Prix, I think we're going to be starting right towards the back. Get yourself subscribed at the time of recording. We are less than 100 subscribers away from 130k. And let's do this thing.
Today is all about the rhythm, all about the flow, because it's qualifying in Qatar. We're under the floodlights for a high-speed test that will set the grid for tomorrow. Wherever you are in the world, you're very welcome.
Well, our performance in sprint qualifying sessions recently have fluctuated quite a lot. We really do seem to have struggled sometimes to get the car up to pace as quickly as obviously you need to. I've also taken a bit of a gamble here. We're running higher left side pressure on the car than right to hopefully make the tyre wear balance a little bit better and obviously regulate temperature as we move into the Grand Prix. It's a big gamble, and it has meant that obviously finding the balance in the car over one lap has been made even more difficult because, of course, you're still having to warm up the tyres as you go round. But yeah, first sprint Q1 run coming up then. I mean, you've got to try and get top 15 now, otherwise you're going to be on the same set of tyres for the second lap. So let's wait and see. Like I said, we've had quite a few races where we could either make Q3 or be out in Q1, as somehow we go purple through that first sector. A little bit of a mistake as we make our way into Sector 3, but we are still 8 tenths up on Nico Hülkenberg right now. Not quite sure how we've managed this one so far on this lap. Unless we're going to lose some time through the final sector. It hasn't felt particularly great, but apparently it's hopefully going to be enough there. Maybe as track temperature continuing to fall as the sun has set here around Losail. The final corner, though, hopefully it's going to be a good enough run to see us straight into Q2. It is a 1:23.3. We go P5. Well, there we go. I said it was either going to be one extreme or the other, and after sprint Q1, I think it's going to be Q3 again. Hopefully I haven't just jinxed myself by saying that. Ricardo, Hülkenberg, Sargent and both kick Salvers out in that first session. I have no idea how we were again 1.2 seconds quicker than Hülkenberg. Have the AI suddenly been made bad? I don't really know. Yeah, Q1 performance has given me the confidence to go out right then at the end of Q2 here for our one run. Obviously, we only basically need to match the time we did in that first session. No way Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon are going to be quick enough here, but clearly finding a late flurry of pace in this car right towards the end of the season. I feel like we have unlocked a little bit more in the setup. But yeah, as we've often seen though, maybe good pace in qualifying doesn't always relate to good pace in the race. I mean, this section of corners, even on the medium tyres, is so satisfying when you get it hooked up, which we absolutely will. They're completely pinned through the first 3. I wonder, yeah, whether, again, the AI haven't quite taken their setups the right way this weekend. I'm running maxed out downforce, same wings as I run at Monaco, to give us the speed we need through those turns, and it is really working for us. 1:22.8. We go P1. Well, there we go. A 2 tenths clear of Lando Norris at the end of the second session. I don't want to jinx it again, but in Vegas, we thought we might have a shot at pole. didn't happen. Are we potentially going to see that here in Qatar? Yes, I know it's only a sprint, but I would still take it. And we're going to try and be a little bit cheeky here as well as we start our final run and see if we can get a bit of a slipstream off of Fernando Alonso. But obviously, yeah, this Q3 run, a little bit of a step into the unknown. You don't quite know what the grip levels are going to be like around the circuit, so we've got to try and capitalise here as out of the final corner. Ride that throttle all the way up into 8th gear. Hopefully we're going to get a faint slipstream from Alonso. Hopefully he's actually going to move out of my way down in towards that first turn. Doesn't look like he is. Come on, Fernando, don't screw me now. Come on, move. Thank you. It was not fantastic, but it could have been a whole lot worse through turn 2. And you've got to try and utilise that curbing on the outside. This track is all about being smooth, allowing yourself to carry the speed off of the corners. Because obviously, as we know, running such high downforce, you've got to take every little bit of speed you possibly can. Still purple through the first sector. 2/10 up on George Russell. We try and get on that loud pedal out of the hairpin. I believe that might be the slowest corner of the lap. And then that corner as well, slightly off camber. The car really wants to over-rotate on the exit, completely flat through there. It's all about trying to get the car back over to the right-hand side. And then as you fling it through the left again, trying to meet the outside curb and ride that throttle in towards this final sector. 4/10 up, purple sector 1 so far. Go back down into 7th gear just to carry the extra revs through. And again, yeah, completely flat through there. Is this one flat? The final part, oh, we just nudged the brake just to make sure we kept it between the white lines. One more corner to go, though. Could we be on for an historic first pole here in F124 out of the final corner up towards the line? It is going to be a 1:22.1. It is P1. Well, there we go then. By 1.7 tenths, we have claimed our first ever pole position ahead of Max Verstappen here for the Qatar sprint. Yes, like I said, I know it's only a sprint race. I know it won't count to any proper stats. The AI will still continue to improve their setups as we head into real qualifying. But for now, we are going to start from pole position, ready for the sprint.
So it is all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? The Sail International was built in 2004, 3.3 miles, 16 turns with just one DRS zone, but it's a long straight and there's plenty of high-speed overtaking opportunities through the corners. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. Mr. Monaco lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Perez, Russell, Tsunoda, Fernando Alonso, Hamilton, Stroll, Gasly, Sainz, Ocon, Albon, Ricciardo, Hulkenberg, Sargent, Magnussen and Zhou Guanyu. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Well, here we are then down on the grid for the first time ever. We've got a completely clear view in front of us, ready for turn 1. 10 laps in the sprint, first of all. And yeah, I don't believe the soft tyres can make it work, so we're going to have to take it on the hards. And we're going to have to try and get a good start here. Verstappen alongside me. 5-time back-to-back world champion. No, I'm not trying to name the corner at the Monaco Grand Prix, but we're ready then for this sprint race. Hopefully we can try and get a good clean getaway and then maintain that lead into turn 1. It is 5 red lights, and I have not reacted well, but somehow we didn't get too much wheel spin there as Lando Norris is going to carve his way through from P3 on the grid. Immediately going to try and look down my inside at turn 1. We are going to go late on the brakes though. Try and do what Hamilton couldn't in real life. No contact was made. And unfortunately, Lando Norris says, yeah, try it, mate. See what happens there. Round the inside he'll go through turn 2. And immediately then, we have failed my first task of this sprint race. And that was to try and hang on to the lead. So yeah, we try and make our way, though, up through turn 3 and turn 4. We know what the goal is today. We know what the objective is. Just try and build up a little bit more of a championship lead over Fernando Alonso. Clearly, this car has got something towards the end of the season, and I absolutely love to see it there. As through the top of the hill we go. Of course, the other big one is make sure we stay in the DRS range of Lando Norris as well here early on. We can't watch him just completely run away, as Verstappen and Leclerc are having a bit of a ding-dong behind me. I wouldn't care less if we just ended up stuck in the range of Lando, but watch those other guys squabble and drop away from me. In fact, that would, I think, work quite perfectly for us there as our slight blend down through the end of the fast section. Oh, the gap to Lando Norris already up to 1 second, though, so it has not been the ideal start. And that was the other thing I worried about. Had we accidentally optimised and set up just a bit too much for qualifying, are we set to struggle as we head into the race?
This lap, you can use it when you're within 1 second of the car ahead and in the DRS zone.
We saw, obviously, Kevin Magnussen when he took pole at Sao Paulo for the sprint a couple of years ago, how he wasn't quite able to maintain any kind of rhythm in the race. Hopefully that's not going to happen to us. Oh, well, we did only just hang on to Lando Norris then. Oh, we got yellows. Immediately someone seems to be slowing down in this race. I believe that's Williams of Alex Albon. That might already be out of it then. So heartbreak for Albon. I think that happened last season here. The Williams retired in the sprint. I certainly think one of them had issues at some point. It might have been Albon in the Grand Prix actually. I can't quite remember. But critical for us that we stay in that range of Lando Norris. Now, hopefully, not only are we going to be able to hang close to the lead, but we might be able to defend from the guys behind. Well, I was a little bit nervous after lap 1 that we just didn't have the pace to keep up with all the AI around us. But yeah, as we start lap 5, Lando Norris, he does pull away a little bit out through those final few corners. But with the DRS, we can get right back to him down at turn 1. It is just a case of trying to hang closer through the twisty part of the lap. And maybe we can still try a challenge. Oh, Leclerc and Verstappen, I just see him in the background having a bit of a squabble, and this could be really useful for Lando Norris tonight. Charles Leclerc floating now around that 1 second mark. We are taking a little bit of time at the McLaren in front. You just see starting to already struggle with the tyres just a little bit. I mean, it's basically 10 qualifying laps for us just to keep up with that McLaren. It definitely seems like they've sacrificed 1 lap pace more than I did for a good race car. But we've got to make it work. I mean, yeah, this has been the closest we've been to Lando Norris over the last few laps out of the final corner. It's still only 9/10 back, though, as we keep trying to drain the battery back towards turn 1. We've got to try and be close enough to have a look for something down the inside. No, not quite enough. We are, just trying to give it everything. We know time is slowly running out here. But it's just so difficult to try and be close enough through that final corner to then get the run back down towards turn 1. Luckily, I've said it many times before, though, it is quite easy to recharge the battery on this year's game, which is very useful. It does mean you can go for more attacks. We've got more yellows. We've got more yellows out. Who now is potentially dropping to the wayside late on in this sprint? I think it's a V-carb. I believe that's Carlos Sainz. Yep.
They're retiring from the race.
Clearly, you do not want to be a former member of the Red Bull family here. Both Sainz and Alex Albon out of this sprint race. But yeah, Lando Norris now, I think, just starting to stretch the legs on that McLaren car. We've got to make sure we're not going to be vulnerable back down towards turn 1 to start the last lap. As you can see there, yeah, tyre temperature just starting to overheat slightly. So we're going to need even more pressure in that front left as we move into the Grand Prix proper. But out of the final corner then, really having to just drain the battery now.
Final lap.
To defend from Charles Leclerc. He's going to have a look to my outside, but he's not going to quite have enough there. Down at turn 1. Just really slammed the door on the Ferrari man. He might be my future teammate. But at the moment, we are still trying to fight for Haas. Making our way then in towards the final few corners here. Lando Norris, he's been quietly consistent right the way throughout qualifying. Where it was normally Leclerc and Verstappen that seemed to be our main rivals. Norris just was doing enough there. He took the lead off the start and never really looked back. Charles Leclerc's dominant run of form of recent races is going to come to an end here in the sprint through the final corner. Lando Norris, sprint winner here in Qatar, just like his teammate did last year. We come through the P2. Well, there we go then, taking a look at our sprint race results. Lando Norris 1.1 seconds clear at the end. We did take fastest lap. Unfortunately, obviously, you don't get a fastest lap bonus point in a sprint race there. But Leclerc beats out Verstappen, Oscar Piastri P5 ahead of Perez, Tsunoda and George Russell, which means, yeah, Russell now I believe will be tied with his teammates Lewis Hamilton in the championship. We've got a 17-point lead over Fernando Alonso. I would love to go into Abu Dhabi with no risk of falling behind the Aston Martin here. Verstappen crosses over the 400-point barrier as well. But yeah, 2 more races to go of the campaign. 2 more availabilities for points here before this season is down and out. So let's head into the Grand Prix qualifying. Moving out then into real qualifying, obviously hoping that Q1 and Q2 are just going to feel a bit like busy work and preparing ourselves ready for Q3. Want to make sure though, obviously now we're doing more laps of anger on the soft compound tyre, that we've got enough to try and hang on to it. Annoyingly, I forgot to put any more tyre pressure in the car, but I don't think it should matter as much in the real race, because obviously you're not going to be driving the car as hard as you did in the sprint. Admittedly, we might have to, depending on where we qualify, to try and keep up with some of the other runners as well there. But yeah, that gap in the constructors coming down to Aston Martin, really, really useful here late on in the campaign. Would have been nice to see Hulkenberg score some points this year. I'm getting worried the Haas will keep him on though, ready for the next season as well, despite how good a car we've had at times. I mean, the fact we could get close to 200 points by the end of the year and he hasn't even been able to score 1 is slightly alarming. He did worse this year than he's managed last season then, but less said about that the better. We're just focusing on trying to make sure we see ourselves straight into Q2 and making our way then straight out into Q2. It was exactly the same 5 drivers that went out in Q1 as we saw in sprint qualifying there. Whoever said that sprint racing ruins some of the mystery that you get from an IRL Grand Prix? Of course, we've had now confirmed all of the sprints are IRL for 2025, and it's exactly the same as 2024 except for Belgium's back in, replacing Austria. I don't really know why, to be completely honest. As much as I love the Belgian Grand Prix, yeah, it hasn't really delivered many great races in recent years there, at least in Formula 1 anyway. But yeah, top times are improving. We're starting to see drivers get close to the 1-minute 21s. My first lap in Q1 wasn't really much of a representative, so as we head out into Q2, I kind of forgot to use the overtake mode through these corners again. It is completely flat out through the first 3. Is it going to be flat through the final one? Just about ish. I reckon if I get that nailed, it'll be completely flat when we get into Q3. Through the final corner though, up towards the line, making sure we leave at no time on the table with the battery. 22-1 P2, half a tenth away from my sprint rival in Lando Norris. And there we go, we're looking at the end of Q2, I believe. Again, it is exactly the same 5 drivers out in the second session. So, yeah, sprint qualifying isn't really adding much intrigue to Formula 1 right now. I guess the real question is, though, will anybody be able to get into the 121s? As what's that, 7 cars covered by quarter of a second. Ferrari, McLaren, Alonso, Verstappen and myself, we are all in the hunt for pole position. Well, I had forgot, obviously we have got that, well, we're meant to have that grid penalty ready for the Grand Prix, but yeah, they don't seemingly apply inside F1 24, and well, unlike Singapore where we knew we were meant to start from the back, here I won't be letting other cars by or anything like that, because it's going to be impossible to predict as we head into the GP proper. But yeah, starting our first lap in anger, we've actually got 2 opportunities here in Q3 because of how well we did in the first 2 sessions, and obviously you get an extra set of tyres in the sprint weekends as you move into real qualifying. It's very, very peculiar the way things work on this game, but again, it is just about figuring out where to use the battery. This first lap can be used as a bit of a banker before obviously we really try and wring the neck out of the car on the second. We want to make sure we got a time on the board. There's a 10th up on Russell through sector 1. I think what I like about qualifying here is the fact you've really got to just use a little bit of overtake on pretty much every corner exit around this circuit, and the AI tend to like to use theirs in like 3-4 chunks over the course of a lap. Again, those corners not really a problem at all. Is this final one though? We had to blend out slightly there as we just got the car out on the exit curb. Final corner once again, you've really got to, yeah, try and get the inside wheel wedged over those curves in a couple of spots. Is it going to be a 121? 22-1 again. But now we have seen the others improve, only good enough for P6. Well, Lando Norris has gone and absolutely shattered all expectations with his first run here in Q3, a 121.7 from the McLaren man, so we need 0.3 of a second if we want to, again, try and get our first ever real pole position here in Formula 1. We're going to try and be cheeky. We're going to try and claim some slipstream off of Sergio Perez down towards the first corner. I think the Mexican there was slightly confused as to what I was doing, but we'll take 1.5 in the pocket, 0.2 in the pocket. By the time we get down to that first corner, that is really, really useful. So plenty of curve through turn 2. That not so much there, as 1/4 of a second up though at the first few turns. We haven't really seen the rest of the field improve on their final runs, so it might just be about trying to lock down the time that you're able to find here. Really nice through turn 5 and turn 6. Through the hairpin we go as well there. Right, that throttle on the exit. 3.5 up. Purple through that first sector. But we know how important it is to try and keep the lap going right away to the very end there. Charles Leclerc just in front. Hoping he's not going to cause us any problems. Oh no, a little bit of understeer. Damn it, that's going to cost us loads of time as we make our way up in towards the final sector of the lap. That might be enough to cost us here. As we make our way through, again, completely flat out. No real time to be found here. Try and drain the battery in all of the right places. We're going to have to go for it completely flat through there, which we just about hang on to. 3.5 up once again. We took a big gamble. Is it going to be enough though? As we try and get the car rotated through the final corner. Power up towards the line. Will it be good enough for pole position? Yes, it is again. And our first ever pole of F1 24. I am happy with that. There we go, by less than 1/10 of a second, we have claimed our first ever pole in Formula 1, and that includes the mistake that cost us a good couple of tenths at the end of Sector 2 there, so we could have been down on a mid-21 had we really got the lap nailed. Lando Norris lines up P2, though, ahead of Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen, our big rival in Fernando Alonso, down in P8, but now we've got to try and convert it into a win.
Welcome back to Qatar. Losail International Circuit is our venue, famous for races on 2 wheels through the years. Its F1 bow saw a Hamilton win. Who takes the flag today? 3.3 miles, 16 turns with a single DRS zone at the exit of turn 16. It is a fast and flowing track with plenty of overtaking expected through the DRS zone down into turn 1. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lando Norris will lead us away from pole position, and it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Verstappen, Mr. Monaco, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Hamilton, Stroll, Gasly, Tsunoda, Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri, Ocon, Joe, Ricciardo, Sargent, Magnussen, Sainz, and Alex Albon picks up the last spot on the grid. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Well, of course, after I say that the grid penalties won't apply, that's exactly what's happened here as we move into the GP. 29 more laps ahead of us here from Qatar, and I think, honestly, it's better trying to go for the hards early on. I don't really know how well the tyres are going to last, so we're going to try. I mean, why wouldn't it let me start on the... Why wouldn't it let me start on the hards? Come on, please, let me do this. We might have to try and figure this out. How utterly stupid is that? No matter what I do, I cannot start this race from the hard compounded tyre. It just won't let me for whatever reason, because obviously the softs won't go far enough. I could be on a 4-stop strategy if I felt that way inclined. But yeah, I guess we're starting on the mediums then. Ready for this GP. Waiting, though, on the grid for the 5 red lights. Lando Norris on pole after he converted the win yesterday. And it is going to be lights out, and away we go there as Fernando Alonso, my big rival, gets off to a blinder there. So does Charles Leclerc, straight into the lead of the Grand Prix. As we're going to be 3 wide down in towards turn 1. I'm not afraid to get my elbows out, though, down the inside of Verstappen. It'll move to the outside for turn 2. And we just pinch him a little bit there. The Dutchman wants to actually give me some space on the exit of the corner. I think he knows I'm willing to race him as aggressively as he would race myself there, as this gives Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc a little bit of opportunity there. We tried to squeeze him out through turn 3. Didn't quite work. We almost got span off the Dutchman's front end there. Would really not have been ideal to start this one. But Charles Leclerc, how many times have we said it late on in this campaign? He's going to lead the way on lap 1 here. It's a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the corner. Obviously high temperatures though around this venue. We've already seen 2 mechanical issues this weekend. We have to monitor our car and make sure that we run into no such problems ourselves. We know though it is critical to stay in the DRS range early on. As Lando Norris with an 8/10 of a second lead, we've got to try and hang with him. I think after the sprint race people would know just to look after their tyres a little bit more as we head to the real Grand Prix. Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc showing no such intentions early on in this Grand Prix. We've already lost out on the DRS of the pair of them here as Leclerc goes 2/10 faster than me that lap. Annoyingly, yeah, that might be the last we ever see of those two unless we get a safety car or something. This Verstappen and Alonso still behind myself, but yeah, we need them to squabble. Oh no, here comes Verstappen down the inside at turn 1. Yeah, no real way we can fight against him at the moment. I think we're going to have to be strategic here in this first stint. We know we need to look after the tyres, so I'm going to try and hang with the Dutchman. Maybe he can drag us back up to the top 2. But yeah, I mean, Alonso, he's got a 2-second gap back to Hamilton behind. It is nice now that the AI do tend to spread out just a little bit more inside this game. I mean, this is absolutely beautiful. Almost immediately, Lando Norris and Charles Leclerc going side by side everywhere for the lead of the Grand Prix. So Verstappen and I just saying thank you very much and closing back down that gap. I mean, we've already taken a second out of them this lap. In fact, Verstappen might end up back in the DRS here almost immediately, so that's worked out beautifully early on in this race. He's going to be right there.
Pass for the leader of the race.
There's Lando Norris. I don't know whether he's won a race so far this year. It's been a bit more kind of the Verstappen, Perez and Leclerc show throughout the most part. Obviously, we've been able to take away a couple of wins as well, and obviously Oscar Piastri won back at Japan. He probably has at some point. I'm probably just not remembering it. It hasn't quite been as dramatic in that regard as Season 1 was. Has Verstappen got the DRS? Not quite. Well, this is absolutely glorious viewing early on in the Qatar Grand Prix. 6 drivers from 6 different teams making up the top 6 here. That Stroll seems to be trying to keep Sergio Perez at bay for 7th as Norris and Leclerc again going wheel to wheel back down to turn 1. Again, though, I just feel like we're struggling with the ultimate race pace against the AI. If they get out of the DRS, we are in real trouble, but if those two at the front keep battling...
Leclerc's moved into first place.
No, he hasn't. Hopefully, that'll keep us close. You can see Verstappen, he watches them fight, and that's when he decides he's going to push on and try and close in even more. Well, yeah, Norris and Leclerc really are putting on a show at the front of the fields.
Hards next time.
Tyre wear warning light has just flashed up, so we've done slightly better with it than we did in the sprint. I'm tempted to try and go for a bit of an undercut here. Didn't work for me in Vegas. But yeah, Qatar is a very, very different track. Only thing I'm worried about, yeah, is about trying to position the car. We want to fight for the win. We know we can hang close to these guys. It's far more difficult, though, trying to get round them. We've got yellows towards the rear of the fields. Not too sure who that is. I think that's Sir Williams again. Don't say it's Albon. Retiring from his 2nd race of the night. I think it might be. Is it Alex Albon? Is it Logan Sargent? Either way, he's still just crawling along. That is definitely Alex Albon, though, out.
Okay, they're out of this race.
Questions surely have got to be asked down at Williams. Look at that. Charles Leclerc baits Lando Norris.
Is dropping back by about 3/10 a lap. Well done.
Hadn't really noticed that Fernando Alonso was struggling here, but yeah, Leclerc trying to do the old switch there on Lando at turn 1. I mean, Max Verstappen and I, we have got box office seats for this scrap. Tyres then really are starting to bleed as we make our way through the final couple of turns of lap 11. I was debating whether it was worth pitting last lap, but we're definitely going to box now then in this Grand Prix. It is so difficult to try and manage the tyres here, but we're going to try and get the undercut. Oh, a little bit hesitant on the way into the pit lane there. I've said it before, and I'm sure I'll say it every single time we come here. I miss the old pit lane entry. It was so much more entertaining on this game than that one. Now we've got to try and obviously get those new tyres up to temperature, though. Come on, clean pit stop.
Okay,
yes!
Perfect job from you and the crew there, mate. We're delighted with that.
Well, we will come out in clear air then, which I suppose is nice as well. But yeah, pretty much everybody's obviously had to start on the mediums.
See these tyres through to the end now.
18 laps, though, on a set of hards is a long old way to go. But they shouldn't overheat. They will, though, take forever to heat up. I had forgot about the off-balance tyre temperature. And immediately that's what we were struggling with in free practice. No one else into the pit lane at the end of lap 12. That makes me slightly nervous that the AI are able to go that much further.
0.9 seconds.
Purple through the final sector as obviously we have all of that extra grip. Luckily, yeah, we did still go 2 seconds quicker than Magnussen last lap, so although we might struggle towards the end, we should absolutely get the undercut. Oh, there we go. Now we're starting to see cars into the pit lane. It's much more of a trickle in on lap 13 than I was hoping for, as Hulkenberg's one of them. Come on, Mark, say it, say it, say it.
Press stop now.
Thank you. But where are we going to be at ahead of Lando and Leclerc?
Really good job.
We have not undercut them. We have actually lost out time then, it looks like, to our top 2, so that DRS still carrying them around for a little bit longer. We should be able to get in the range as they have to build higher temperature, but the undercut is just not as powerful on this game as I remember it being. There we got the rest of our runners into the pit lane then. Annoyingly, it's actually going to give Leclerc a handy slipstream there off of the kick Sauber. So maybe Magnussen will get hired for that second Ferrari seat. Verstappen, though, has lost out in a big way. Verstappen might be out of this fight, as even Perez, his teammate's going to get the jump on him. I'm not quite sure how Checo's ended up as close as he had under all of this. Oh no, it is Verstappen. Apparently I just can't read. That makes a lot more sense then. But we've got to try and hang on to the coattails of our top 2. Oh, here we go, Lando again down the inside of Charles Leclerc at turn 1. I guess, yeah, we were last time round, we were in row 2 for this. Now we've got front row seats for the battle for the second half of this race. The only thing, yeah, I am worried about is whether Verstappen can close in. If these two continue to squabble, that time round Lando will just hang on. But yeah, this is just cinema. We are focusing up so much at this stage of the day. Genuinely, again, feels like it's just qualifying laps over and over and over here in Qatar at the moment, trying to hang on to the car, but we know tyre wear towards the end is going to be really, really bad. I don't know whether it's worth trying to get into the lead, or whether we're just trying to hold station, think about the bigger picture, think about the championship fight against Fernando Alonso here and watch the battles unfold. Max Verstappen has still got relentless pace behind me. Every race he seems to struggle in the first stint, but then has the pace later on to carry himself through. As Leclerc, he gets right under Lando's gearbox, but cannot get close enough to actually go for a pass. This is the closest we've hung to Charles out of the final corner there, and you can see how hard we're pushing, almost dropping the car off the curb with 10 laps to go. See, Leclerc, though, can't seem to get close enough to Lando Norris. Are we going to be able to get close enough to Charles? No, and shades of the sprint again. Is that our big opportunity kind of wasted? Just, I mean, look at that. 4 cars covered by about a second at this stage of the afternoon. It is unrelenting, this fight for the win.
It's ahead of you. We can't let them hold us up for too long, so let's try and get past as soon as possible and crack on. Push, push.
This game is pure evil. Fancy setting that as my target now when it knows what we're trying to do. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Leclerc finally gets to hurry up and decides to have a look down the inside of Lando Norris at turn 1. Not quite able to do anything with it that time around, but that's really good to know. I think we just put Leclerc under that little bit of extra pressure, so now he's having to start thinking about when he can make the move. Oh, we got yellows, that might be an incident. I think one of the Mercs has gone round. Thought we might see a safety car there, because that Mercedes is just stranded on the inside of the corner. I could be tempted to box for a set of softs here to take us to the end if we did get a safety car. Merc just sat in the middle of the road. Unfortunately, though, they're not slowing anybody else up in the process, which is a real shame. We are just willing down the laps, though, late on in the day. I don't know which Merc that is, but they have had an absolute disaster here as they drop to last place in this Grand Prix.
We expect you'll be noticing a bit of grip loss in the tyres around now, so just be careful.
Well, this is the last lap. We've got an opportunity then to try and make a move on Charles Leclerc, so we've got to try and go for it. Back down towards turn 1. He seems to be really struggling to even keep up with Lando Norris at this stage of the day. Are we going to be able to have a look down the inside? Yes, we will. Very aggressive there, but we get the car slowed down just about.
We hit the target. Nice work.
Critical moves late on in the day, and just like we've seen back at Vegas, the harder tyres really work well on this car. That's why I wanted to start on the hards, to hopefully maintain the pace early on. But now it's just us and Lando Norris again. Oh no, that's not good. We've got 5 laps to go and the tyre warning light's already flashed up. Come on, we've got to stay close though. We've kept the DRS range to Lando Norris. That's really good. Gives us a bit of a defence from Charlie.
We need to look after the tyres. We won't be making another pit stop.
It's going to be the big concern here towards the end. We've got to try and recharge the battery slightly and then we'll see if we can go for a run. Ooh, I think Leclerc might have problems. Or is it a bit like we saw with Verstappen in Vegas as well? Just the AI that you jump then seems to really start to struggle for pace. Towards the end of the afternoon, Verstappen stayed inside our range. Leclerc is still right up with him. But is it suddenly going to turn from a 4-car fight to just 2? 2 laps to go then here from Qatar. I do not want to play second fiddle to Lando Norris in 2 back-to-back races here in Losail. We desperately want to try and get our 3rd win of the year on the table. We need to be within 6/10 of him though around the start-finish straight. And honestly, I'm not convinced that's going to happen as we're really struggling now with the tyres. Lando Norris having no such problems. Oh, damn it. Damn it, damn it, damn it. We've lost the range. We're going to be under pressure from Verstappen onto the final lap here. And Lando Norris once again. That McLaren car is... I mean, we've seen it in real life as well. The way it's able to work its tyres. Does fantastically well around these more tricky conditions there. As Verstappen having a look to the inside at turn 1. I refuse to back out against the Dutchman here on the final lap. We've done so well up to this point. We deserve another P2 finish there as well. Verstappen. Yeah, I think he very quickly realised there the door was about to get slammed shut in his face. But Lando Norris, like we said, it has not been the best year for McLaren this season. They really have underperformed against, I'm sure, a lot of their targets. More importantly for us, though, as Verstappen locks up. I think, yeah, if we finish here, we might just have done enough to make sure that we're not going to lose to Fernando Alonso in the title, unless he gets pole position, sorry, fastest lap and the race win next time out. I think we're going to have a 25-point lead here if we're able to convert this P2, but tyres are absolutely falling away on this final lap. All I'm interested in now is not getting a puncture. 80% on that front left, as surely the Dutchman can't try it here. Good luck there, sunshine. But Lando Norris through the final couple of corners, sprint win, pole position, race victory. It has not been a bad weekend for McLaren, and maybe now they are just stating their intent, ready for Season 3. Lando Norris, back-to-back wins here in Qatar. Through the final corner for us, though, it is going to be back-to-back P2s.
What a way to head to victory! Lando Norris takes the win!
And it's always good to get that momentum on your side, and it's really good for your confidence as well. The more confident you are, the further that can take you.
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
Well, there we are then. Lando Norris, he takes maximum points, nearly, from this weekend. They're top 4, actually, in both the sprint and the Grand Prix, all exactly the same. It was only Verstappen and Charles Leclerc that swapped places when all is said and done. But yeah, taking a look at our race results there. I mean, yeah, Lando, obviously, that gap was opened up a little bit right towards the very end. But yeah, all 4 of us covered by small margins come the checkered flag there. Alonso P5 ahead of Perez, Russell, Piastri with Stroll and, well, Yuki Tsunoda. Not a particularly great race for him after taking some grid penalties there. Unable to recover as the race went on. Ocon beats out Gasly ahead of both V-Carbs there. Hulkenberg from 12th on the grid to P15, and just Alexander Albon failing to see the checkered flag there. Failed to see the checkered flag at any point during this weekend. That means championship-wise, with 1 round to go of the season, we have got, yes, a 25-point lead over Fernando Alonso. Technically, we could still lose to him. I think, yeah, if he got pole position, if he won the race and got fastest lap. But obviously, we'd only need to finish 10th. So technically now, our fight is actually with Oscar Piastri in front. 17 points the gap, though. I'm certainly not holding my breath as we head into the final race of the year. Their top 3 all mathematically wrapped up. None of them can gain, none of them can lose. The first battle, yes, between Lando, Norris and Yuki Tsunoda after a brilliant weekend here for McLaren. Constructors-wise, 10 points in it between us and Aston Martin. If we got another P2, that is all but still fightable between now and the end of the year, as well as, yeah, top 4 all mathematically locked out as well in the Constructors. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns, ready for the season finale. We'll be back in Abu Dhabi.